things stand with Brock now? How is he coming along? And have you reached a point where you can put together a timeline on, realistically for him?
I think the timeline, as I understand, he's doing great. He's right down the road here in Gilbert. He's our guys have been flying down and kind of just checking in with his rehab. But he's doing rehab with a renowned baseball guy that Dr. Meister knows. We'll get you his name. I'm forgetting it right. Coker or something. We'll get the name. But he's doing a really good job. I think it's early on. There's not a whole lot that you're doing. It's a lot of the range of motion and whatnot. But he's right here. We may see him tonight. I think as I understand, around 12 weeks we'll know a lot more. That's when he can start throwing, and that's when I think you really start to know a little bit more about timelines. But all things are going really well. Brock's going to work. He's going to do everything they ask and more. And they were very pleased with the way the surgery went, so we're excited about that.
If he starts throwing in 12 weeks, is there a scenario in which he could be back? Everyone always said kind of 6 months is the timeline. Is it possible to be sooner than that, at least on a limited basis, just because he can throw?
I think like a lot of those things, there's probably some sort of a timeline. Timelines are just guidelines, and then every person's different. There probably is some amount of time in talking to docs that you want to make sure you get to that point before he's out there. But our hope is he's ready to go in training camp. We'll see how everything goes. We're going to do what's right for Brock because that's right for our organization, and be aggressive with what we do. But us will be really smart, and we're insulated with other guys that we have a lot of belief in. So Brock's not ready. We'll hold down the fort until he is.
When Brock's ready, is he your starting quarterback, or is there a process of?
I think Brock has earned the right with the way he played that he's probably the leader in the clubhouse at that. I'll let Kyle make those kind of decisions, but I know when we talk, I think Brock's probably earned that right to be the guy. If we were to line up, he'd probably take that first snap. And really excited about where Trey is at with his progress from his injury. He's been working really hard, and love the opportunity to be able to bring in Sam Darnold and his skill set. We think it's a really good fit, and so we like that room a lot.
Does he come back? Will he be doing most of the rehab in Santa Clara, or will he stay here working with Coker or whatever his name is?
Yeah, we'll get his name. That's still being kind of hashed out. I think Dr. Meister has a lot of trust for this guy. Kind of like him, he lives in that baseball world, so he's done so many of these, and so there's a protocol that Dr. Meister feels really good. I think Brock's dad worked with the guy years ago when he was rehabbing from a similar injury. So there's comfort, and there's good collaboration with our own guys. So we'll figure all that out.
John, when you say, and I realize this is still guesswork, but when you say ready to go in training camp, does that mean, hey,
I don't know what that means. I mean, the hope is, really, it's because that's the truth. I mean, Dr. Meister said, let's just take this, let's get to 12 weeks, assuming everything, and then I'll be able to give you a little more guidance in terms of where he's at, how he's responding, I guess, with respect to the norm and all that. So and then I think we'll be able to settle in on some timelines.
John, how should people read this? Because you just said that Brock's the leader in the clubhouse, but I mean, you did trade a lot of draft capital to go get Trey, and from his limited. I mean, you've always spoke highly of Trey. That he just needs to play. So how should people read that? After 8 games, the last pick in the draft has leapfrogged the number 3 pick in the draft.
I think it's a fair question. It's a good question. I mean, we've always said we don't care where you were drafted, if you were drafted. I mean, that's always been our stance. It's what we believe in, and I don't think both things can be true. We're still very excited about Trey, but I think the way Brock played, he probably has earned that right to be the guy. But it's certainly a competition. We'll always have that, and again, these are decisions Kyle makes, but I know in our discussions, this is the way we're talking.
Okay, then Sam Darnold, where does he?
He's
Talented guy.
He's competing as well, and the one nice thing for Sam and Trey is there's going to be a lot of snaps out there in the off-season program. As much as it's not like the old days with the off-season program, but there's a lot of snaps, and so there's going to be a lot of valuable experience. Those two are going to get the opportunity to go out there and show what they can do, and they're both really looking forward to that.
You've said that Trey needs to play. If he can't get that opportunity here, would you consider trading him?
We like Trey, right? On our team right now. We always joke, Kyle and I, we trade each other if someone gave us a good enough deal. So we listen to anything, but we like Trey on our team, and we're very excited about the way he's progressing, about his opportunity. I think he's chomping at the bit to get out there and get back under center and be healthy again.
Did you get a call from Ken Francis regarding Lamar?
I don't know who that is. I don't.
Darnold's last 6 games this past year, it seemed that he played significantly better than before. Did that really stand out to you guys when you made that move?
Well, he's always been a really talented guy. We agreed that the situation they put him in Carolina, the way they were playing him, it seemed like he kind of broke through a little bit, and I think it had a lot to do with the style. They were running the football, doing a lot of play action off the run, a lot of the things that we like to do. And we've always felt that Sam, back to when we were studying him, come at us, he was a good fit for what we do offensively. We've continued to study him throughout, and like I said, I said that because Sam said it. He was craving our structure, our stability, the opportunity to play for Brian Greasy, the opportunity to play for Kyle. I mean, I think these guys here, when you're a quarterback with the Niners, the head coach is in a lot of those quarterback meetings day in, day out, and so that was really appealing to Sam, and his play, his ability was really appealing to us.
Ken Francis aside, I think after the season, you and Kyle had said, you guys were comfortable with the guys that you had at quarterback, but you also said it's your job to make sure Kyle knows what all the options are. How much conversation did you guys have about some of those bigger names that have kind of been floating out there?
Yeah. We have conversations on everything. We really like our group, and our priority was to go find one more, and Sam was our kind of guy that we zeroed in on, and because we didn't know we think we have timelines on Brock, but you have to prepare for everything, as we learned last year. We really learned, and so that's what we've tried to do, and I think we're in a good situation, and looking forward to see it play out.
Was him having that repair, which is what you expected, but you said that you weren't sure until they got in there.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a tipping point of like, okay, now we at least have a general idea that he is going to be back in terms of what you were going to look for at quarterback?
That was really good news. I mean, I was down in Cabo. We take our little team retreat each year before free agency. I think Jed takes us, so we won't spend all his money. But that's when we got the call from Dr. Meister, and hey, things went great. We were able to do the what do they call it, the internal brace option, which was the one we were hoping for, and now he'll go to work, and we'll see at 12 weeks we should be able to give you a little more direction on how he's tracking.
Javon Hargrave had indicated that sometimes you have to pick not as good a team to get the money, and he was pretty excited in this situation to get both, and that it was a pretty easy decision for him. What were those discussions like?
Well, whenever we could, we started talking to Drew, but before that, there was talk with our ownership, because that probably wasn't in the plans for this year. We've been fairly aggressive since we've been here. Last year, even though we got Mooney, we backed off. I think we were 22nd or something in cash spending for as a team, it was we paid a lot of our own guys over the years. They've earned it, and but I think it wasn't a sit-out year, but it was a year where, hey, you can't press the pedal every year. You're seeing teams have to reset and all those things, but Kyle and I started talking, how do you improve this team? And the one area that was glaring to us, and it's interesting to say this because we're the number 1 defense in football, but we felt like we had fallen off maybe just a tad on the D-line, and wasn't as dominant as we were accustomed to maybe back in 19, and we wanted to get back to that. That's what we believe in. And so went to Jed and had a discussion about, hey, we understand at some point you got to pull back, but we'd like to go after it this year. We got a game changer we think can really improve our team, And Jed and the family supported us and said, I like it. He actually said, before he knew I want a game changer though, if we're gonna do that. I don't want a bunch of average guys, and so I want a game changer. I said, well, we got the guy for you. And we got to go get him. And that was the challenge. Could we do it? And there was a lot of competition for him, but we were able to do it. And I'm really excited about watching this guy. We've watched him terrorize the league, terrorize us, and it's nice to have him on our side. And it's fun to kind of daydream about him and Armstead and Bosa and hopefully Drake Jackson really stepping up and Leland Farrell, all these guys, watch them go. Javon working in there. It's going to be a fun group to watch.
Do you see yourself like you have a window to do stuff like that while you have these quarterbacks on their first deals?
Well, I think when you look at our roster, you start going through. We've got a lot of really good football players that are under contract, and the next few years, the next couple years, that's when we got the core of our team together. So to us, it made sense to let's press forward and not be irresponsible, but let's press forward. Let's have a plan, and we got the backing of our ownership as we always have, and we were able to land Javon, and that's huge for us.
John, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Getting Javon, is it some sort of a admission that maybe Kinlaw is, for whatever reason, it's not going to be a game changer you envisioned?
I don't think so. I'm really excited for. There's Javon and Javon. I'm really excited for Javon because he's going into an off season healthy, and I think we're committed to him and watching him be part of this group, and he's excited about that. And maybe it hasn't gone because of the injuries, hasn't gone as well as we all might have anticipated, or think it as well as it would have had he been healthy. That's part of this thing, and so now he is healthy. He gets to be a part. The way we rotate guys in and out, he's going to be part of our rotation, and we're really excited about that.
Are you, as GM, are you thinking about like, man, if I could get into the second round, I've got all these threes, can I get into the first round? Like, is it hard to not try to, envision a scenario where you can push up?
I always got to watch out, and Kyle has fun with me because I'm always the eternal optimist, and I really do believe when I said that earlier. As I've been preparing for this draft over the last year, really the hallmark of it, I see a lot of depth. I'm not just saying this because of our circumstances. Not sure I'd be thrilled about having a bunch of early picks because it feels like there's not much differentiation from the top guys and the middle guy. There's a lot of good players, so I think it sets up very well for us. And we just got to be very thorough, as we always are, and excited about our process starting. We go back. We got this week, and then we go back Monday, and our draft meetings will start. I'm really looking forward to that. And, we've thought about some ideas of tweaking our process. When I've been watching it personally, I usually start at the top and work down. I flipped it. I started at the bottom and worked up, and because you tend to get enamored in watching those front of the draft guys, and you got to be prepared for everything. But I chose to hey, let's start down here with our lowest draftable grades, and let's work up. And we may do that as a group, but we're excited about it. I think it's a really quality draft.
Is Colton McKivitz the plan to replace Mike Glinchey, right tackle?
Yeah, Colton's the guy right now. And we just signed Matt Pryor, who's a guy who's started some games in this league. But we like Colton. We have for a long time, and I think Colton's confidence, that game he filled in for Trent Williams, went in there and did a really good job as a left tackle. He's been a good swing tackle. Colton's a good player, and he'll get a crack at that job, and there'll be a competition, but we're excited about him being able to man that job.
Two things on Brandon Ayuk. One, have you made the decision on his 5th year yet? And also, you said last year with Bosa, with those first round picks, you like to get him through, 4 years and then do contract extension discussions. Is that kind of the plan with Ayuk, or the hope for the plan anyway?
Yeah, Brandon's been excellent for us. I'd be shocked if we didn't. We still have some time. It's the day after the draft. I believe we have to make those decisions. And so we're still discussing, but probably makes sense to do that for Brandon. He's a really good player. You know, it's interesting when you're at these league functions, ownership meetings, combine. A lot of people ask about him. You know, they really appreciate his game and they see it ascending. And you know, he's a guy we're very fortunate to have, and I think he's just coming into his own too. I think it's only going to get better. So we're excited about watching Brandon move forward with us.
John, you have Chris Kazirka has such a good, track record with guys coming in on short deals and succeeding in getting huge contracts afterwards. What are the conversations like with him for guys like Cohn and Farrell? Does he look at them and say, okay, this is a guy that I can take and have a great year with?
Yeah, well, his conversations with players are really entertaining, and you know, you can imagine how they might go. But I think the bottom line is, it's a really, we're not selling anything. We're just giving them the reality. You know, if you are somebody who's coming for a 1-year deal, who better to entrust it to than this guy? Who's he should get a cut. Sampson, Charles, I mean, all these guys. He made a Ridge went and did well. There's a lot of guys who've done very well. Kerry Hyder left, then came back. So, you know, a place where you know you're going to be cut loose, you're going to be able to attack down in, down out. And there's a track record of guys coming here, finding their way in our rotation, and then doing really well. And so it's not selling. It's just saying, hey, look at the proof's in the pudding, and players recognize that.
Does he ever come into you and get on the table for a guy?
Does Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. You know, we got Hargrave, but you know, Chris, we take care of you very well. You take care of us, but let's not push it. But he's always on the table. Yeah.
We got time for 2 more.
Based on what you just experienced, do you ever see a scenario where you wouldn't have 3 quarterbacks on the roster and possibly active on game day?
I mean, we're talking about it in here. There's not I don't even know where they're at because it's not a formal proposal right now, but it was a big topic of discussion yesterday. So I think the whole league's talking about it. It really opened a lot of eyes. I think the one thing that's interesting with it, I know they had it before, and one thing they always talk about, number one, they felt like some teams abused it by using special teams guys. Number two, it wasn't used that often. But I do think we're at a different place as a league with concussion protocols, with spotters possibly pulling quarterbacks and things like that, that I think we should account for it. You know, I think America, the world would have loved to have seen that game. You know, I don't know if having a third guy would have been a lot better than being in the Wildcat the rest of the game, though, and those type things. And I think for health and safety, I mean, you don't want, players are competitors. You don't want a quarterback not reporting something because his team doesn't have anything else. So I think it would be good for the league in a variety of reasons to make some allowance. I don't have all the answers. I think that we're working through that as to what it is, but it feels like there's momentum towards having something in place.
Is Zane the move a kicker, or are you going to still look to bolster that spot for competition?
I think it's a move. He's that just kind of came where got tipped by the agent that they had told him he's going to be released, and called Fitterer and said, look, we're not going to give you much, but we like him. Like, we'd love to do something. And our special teams coaches have liked him, his talent, his ability. So we're excited to get a talented kicker, and we'll see whether we add competition. But he's been a guy in this league. He's got a big leg. He's got a lot of talent. Our guys were excited to work with him. So yeah.
Just a quick thing on back to what Nick was saying about Nick Bosa.
Right.
Where does everything stand with Nick Bosa?
He's training. He's doing what Nick Bosa does. Like a madman, and we're gonna address his contract at some point. And I know that it will take persistence. It will take patience. All the things I said before. He's a really good player who's gonna get everything that he's earned and deserves, and I do like our track record of getting them done. They don't come as quick as you'd like sometimes, and this one, I don't know where that will be. I don't think that has to be the case, but we'll see where it goes. And just excited about Nick being a part of us for a long time.
Would you?
You have a number of minority candidates who've gone on to be coaches and GMs. I'm just curious, you know, you get the third round comp picks, but it also, is there a double-edged sword to it where now you've got all these coaches and GMs all over the league who, that list of guys that you read off earlier, they're signing a lot of those guys. Do you find that the competition is more heated because you have so many guys who know your guys around?
It's very predictable. You know, we sit in our free agent meetings and you know who's going to like similar players. It's just, there's only so many guys out there. It's not always 100%, but their eyes see what our eyes see and so it's not frustrating. It's part of the deal. I'm happy for all those guys. It's really cool to see D'Amico Ryans walking around here as a head coach. It's great to run into my old teammate Martin Mayhew. It's awesome to see Sala. Who am I leaving out? Ran out here. It's really cool to see all these guys. It's Quasey. You know, we didn't get a draft pick. We should have, but we didn't. But those guys are family. I'm fired up for them. But yes, it does lead to some. They like a lot of the same players we do.
I'm going to sneak in one more question. Is that okay?
One more.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've seen quarterbacks for a very short period of time be successful, you know, young quarterbacks, and then the league figures them out or something, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
What makes you think that Brock has sustainability?
Just the way he played, the way he processed, the way he led, it was very impressive. You know, yes, you're right. He's done it for part of 1 year, but the way he did it, not just that he did it, the way he did it, I think gave a lot of confidence to everybody in our building. And you know, he earned that. It was, and you know, there's some things that surprised me. We thought this was a seasoned guy. We knew he was a guy who processed really well. I had no idea he was that good an athlete. I really didn't. His escapability, those things really, I knew he was a good athlete. Knew he had a nice 10 time, but you know, you just, there's always that projection. Okay, you did this in college, how's it gonna translate? It really kind of surprised us, you know, how adept he was at being elusive and extending plays, but also playing within the system. So kind of did everything well. And is there room for growth? Absolutely. But he has left us all with a lot of confidence that he's a real guy. I mean, that, you know, and we're excited about that.